yesterday, quite a crucial one at that, and holds national importance at this point of time. The White House expressed confidence that the strong foundation of India-US relations can help the two nations navigate the ongoing crisis surrounding the bribery charges against Indian billionaire Gautam Adani. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has addressed the allegations during a press briefing on Friday, stating that Biden administration is aware of the charges against Adani, the chairman of the Adani Group. Let's listen into what exactly has been said by her during the press briefing.
So obviously we're aware of these allegations, and I would have to refer you to the SEC and DOJ about the specifics of those allegations against the Adani Group. What I will say is on the U.S. and India relationship, we believe that it's stands on an extremely strong foundation, anchored in ties between our people and cooperation across a full range of global issues. And so what we believe and we're confident about is that we'll continue to navigate this issue as we have with other issues that may have come up, as you just stated. And so the specifics of this is something that SEC and DOJ can speak to directly. But again, we believe that this relationship between India and the U.S. has been built on a strong foundation.
Well, meanwhile, let's quickly take a look at what is happening at the News9 Global Summit in Stuttgart.
Given the people we have in this room, there is a lot of time and money here that has been invested. So I'd request everyone to please settle down now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Welcome back. It is time now for playoff number 3 at the News9 Global Summit Match Day 2. The playoff is all about bridging the skill gap, crafting a win-win.
What does this session hold? In this session, we will discuss how skilled labor recruitment can become a cornerstone for India and Germany relations.
And this playoff will address the role of both government and private sector in training and what is the future of skills development in an increasingly technological world. Take a look at this.
Germany stands at the edge of transformation.
And no growth can happen without
demand for skilled workers for years now.
But India holds the key to this dilemma.
As for foreign skilled workers,
1 million young professionals enter India's workforce every the demand.
We need nurses in Germany. We need IT specialists. We need helping hands. We want to establish a win-win-win situation.
In India, a skilled workforce is ready to answer that call.
more companies are now looking abroad.
Highly qualified workers will be able to bring family members to Germany.
A stronger Germany, powered by Indian talent.
the playoff begins.
Our panel for this playoff, Dr. Florian Stegmann, who's the Minister of State and head of the State Chancellery at Baden-Württemberg. We also have with us Jonas Margraf, MD at Finteba. Can I please also request on stage Mr. Mark Michaelis? He's the head of business development India at Barmer Insurance. Ajit Isaac, chairman at Quest Corp. And Pankaj Bansal, founder of PeopleStrong. Please put your hands together. And moderating, the referee for this playoff is Razaul Hassan Lashkar. He is the foreign editor at Hindustan Times. Over to you.
Hello and welcome to this session. This is going to be slightly different from the other sessions we've had before. The other sessions were very exciting, but they were about stuff like quantum computing, artificial intelligence. This one is going to be different because it's about the people who are going to actually make the connect between India and Germany. So I'd like to just start with the State Minister. And Dr. Stegmann, if I could start with you. Why would you cooperate with India? Why do you want the cooperation between Baden-Württemberg and Maharashtra? Because, you know, we do know that there's been a state partnership agreement which is going to be 10 years next year, but why India?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. And first of all, thank you very much for hosting this great event. It's really a great honor for me to share my point of view on this very important topic. So India is not just the biggest democracy with a population of 1.4 billion people, it's also a country with boundless opportunities. So let me go more in detail. First of all, I think India has a vast potential for investment in economic collaboration. It's a country with dynamic markets and global growing influence. Secondly, India is a global leader in software development and software services. You provide our companies with cutting-edge products and services. So we fit very good together because Baden-Württemberg, we also have a tech-driven industry, so we would match at that point very good. And thirdly, India is one of those countries with one of the dynamic ecosystems in the world. So if we collaborate and if you are partnering with an Indian startup, you can accelerate our tech industry. And my fourth and most important point of view is India has a very strong focus on education and skill development. And this aligns very perfectly with Baden-Württemberg. We are very strong at the vocational training expertise. And in a nutshell, I would say deepening cooperation between Baden-Württemberg and India it means unlocking a potential with shared values, complementary strengths, and vision of mutual growth. But it's not just a partnership, it's for us an opportunity to shape the future of the world.
Thank you. Good start to the discussion. If I could turn to Mr. Isaac, he had some very interesting points while we were just chatting outside. His organization is the largest employer in India, the third largest in the world. So maybe you could just give us some thoughts on, what India could bring to the table when it comes to meeting the requirements in Germany.
So let me just give everyone here a sense of the Indian and what can come out of it. There are totally 560 million people in class eligible to work, people between the age of 15 and 64. Out of this, about 45% is in the farm sector. So about 250 million in the farm sector, 310 million in the non-farm sector. Only 20% of this total of the 560 million is what you call is a formal workforce. People with employment letters, contracts, provident fund, benefits, etc. The rest of them work at will with other places. 1 to 2 people each. So about 120 million people out of the entire total of 560 million work in. If you go on the supply side of where education comes in, we have about 10 million people who go through technical education or graduate courses and are eligible for jobs every year. So that's the supply that Germany can look at, one's constituency of people. Inside that, you have about 1.5 million engineers who come out and about 18 million. Germany also has, a little bit of shortage, I'm sure, and we have nurses now. We're losing nurses to Germany. For Germany to know that the last 10 years has been transformational. I would encourage you to look at people who are in this transformational phase of their journey. Employment markets here and to enterprises in Germany.
Just which is a platform that works to get international students across. We were having a little bit of a chat, about managing the, expectations and realities. Maybe you could throw some light on that, and how would you work to integrate Indians who are coming into Germany?
Yes, thanks a lot. Yeah, Fintiba, we're a platform, as you said, like a tech platform or like a tech and people service platform where we help internationals to come to Germany and get through the bureaucratic hurdles. and we have accompanied more than 300,000, mainly students, on their way to Germany, and we gained a lot of experience. And I think I would like to touch upon that. I think what you said, we have talked a lot about technology and figures and numbers, and this is about the human factor, about the brains and the skills. And I think this is exactly the point. Also, when we have the triple win strategy of our government, about that two governments will benefit, but also really the people that come to Germany. I think it's about how do you want to make someone successful, and successful you become in terms of personal journey and growth if you make it, and make it is mainly about integration. It's really all the hurdles of getting familiar with German. I mean, even if many people you get around here with English, finding a job normally requires some level of German. You need to integrate into the German society to be successful. And I think this is one of the key factors to make that. And that's also why we think, of course, we extended the groups of people that come here of skilled labor from like blue collar and white collar. But especially students are a very interesting target group, because we have like a complete ecosystem that fosters that integration. I mean, we have universities with a lot of programs. They help with integration weekends or integration weeks, to language courses that are more or less for free during universities, a big difference to also finding then jobs. And in the end, it's about a career, about a long-term life, and how do you make that successful. And I think this is an interesting fact about Germany, that Germany is OECD leader in terms of keeping internationals in Germany after the graduation. So after 5 years, we still have 2/3 of international graduates and also Indian graduates still in Germany. After 10 years, it's still over 40%. And I think this is something we need to support as much as possible from the whole way, from recruiting people in India to really think about who has the good chances to come here until doing it in Germany, because a failure on the way is very painful. We know that in India, a lot of families collect money to make that way, to pay for like the way to Germany. And if you then, I don't know, end up in the wrong university or in a place where you will not maybe make it with your education or vocational training, then it's very hurtful. So I think integration, we try to do everything also with Fintiba to smooth that.
Pankaj, I'm going to come to you from People Strong. You've obviously looked at not just Germany but other countries. What would you say?
And thank you, Barun, for getting us together. Thank you, Sri, for getting me here. Just delighted to be on the panel. The problem at home in India is that we have done a lot. We have the right UPI systems, that it's genderless. Skill has no gender, right? Jobs have gender. We need countries and partnerships like Germany. So I think that's the best bet we have with government coming along. Secondly, I'm not betting on government only. Government, of course, is doing a phenomenal job in this case. But I always bet on category building entrepreneurs. In India, if you look at, you'll be surprised that the internships for class 11 and 12, there are companies which are helping students to get internships across the globe. So we have that opportunity. India's #1 management institute, since independence, we had one, Raza, you know, Indian Institute of Management. Last year it was dethroned, and a new institute, which is 5 years old, called Masters Union, is #1. Why? Because it says textbooks on the side will provide the skills which are required by the corporations. #2, India's mass institutions are always known as like Amity and many other brands which have done a good thing. But there, Sunstone kind of companies have come up. So I think skill is the future, Raza.
Mark, if I could come to you, you have an aging population in Germany. And India is a country which has a demographic bulge. How good a fit is it?
It's a huge fit, In India, there's a really young, skilled population, and we need those people here in Germany to help us here keeping going our way, but we can also offer them a huge opportunity to work here in Germany, to build a new life here. And I work for Barmer, a health insurance company. And basically what we do is we help them to integrate here. Jonas mentioned how important integration is. And we as a healthcare company want to help the people to integrate here where health is no matter of concern, because we want to make the health insurance system as accessible as possible for them. so that they can focus on working here, on living here with their families and support the system here in Germany, the social security system. Because here in Germany, the young people pay for the old, and we have an aging population, and if we get a young skilled population from India that works here, they are able to sustain the system which is world leading in its capabilities. And that's really why the Indian population coming to Germany is a huge fit, and we have to strive to build on this and keep them integrated.
If I could turn to Dr. Stegman again, the partnership between Maharashtra and Baden-Württemberg. If you could tell us about the pilot project that you have for getting skilled labor from Maharashtra, and also what can other states learn from this partnership? This partnership is going to be 10 years next year.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Also, the cooperation between Baden-Württemberg and Russia could be a role model for other states as well, I'm convinced. And the recognition of our work make me and my team incredibly proud. But how did we achieve this? The foundation of our cooperation is a long-standing partnership built on personal trust and even friendship and relationship. Over the past years, I have traveled many times to India, to Mumbai and Pune, and I had a lot of fruitful discussions, countless meetings, and so we have built a strong foundation of trust and respect and friendship. And this respect and our friendship is, let me say it like that, is the heart of our cooperation. And we work very closely with great trust, and both regions are, of course, the powerhouses in industries like automotive and mechanical engineering, and also the healthcare sector. We have both a strong ecosystem in research. And to support this effort, we established also a cooperation office in Pune, and we have a service desk there for skilled workers. And also, I have to mention, this is really respectable because Maharashtra has active investments in German language with cooperation at the Goethe Institutes. And at the bottom line, or in a nutshell, successful partnership require regional personal meetings, exchange, a strong trust, and then it works.
If I could turn to both Mr. Isaac and Pankaj, if you look back about 20 years, if an Indian was going to migrate, it was always to at remittances, it's changing. What do you think people like you in this field can do to, better equip someone who is coming to Europe or to Germany? Either of you, maybe.
So I think, and to answer you as well as Dr. Stigma, if you look at the data in 2013, since you talk of past, we had 32% Indian workforce as skilled. Data in 2024, as per India Skills Report, is almost 52%. So we have this change. Number two, the 10% jobs of India are aspirational jobs which attract 70% of the applications. So we have this mismatch. We have a skilled workforce which is growing. We have tag data which says that aspirational jobs are not increasing. Of course, they will increase, but not to that magnitude. So now there is no option but to help those skilled workers find jobs. Therefore, Germany comes into play. What role we can play? Again, I will say we have to enable entrepreneurial ecosystems. Like we have two friends here, he's helping people to come here. We have to find that ecosystem in India, which in a structured way will go. And most pleasant thing that I want to quote, Pune you mentioned. In that India Skill Index, Pune is the #1 city. So you are at the right place.
Well, I think for starters, Germany's got to play some cricket, India has got to play some football. We have to learn a sport. Indians have got to drink a bit more beer. And maybe Germany's got to learn some non-vegetarian food. So that will get the people closer. But on a more serious note, India's got about 1,700 GCCs that are set up. GCCs are global capability centers, usually backends of large corporations which do stuff like accounts payables, accounts receivables, order to cash, customer lifecycle management, product development and testing, stuff that is very essential to companies, everyday stuff of companies. So these are companies with enterprises with turnover sizes in excess of $1 billion or so. So even in the state of Baden-Württemberg, you'll find a lot of these companies which have sizes, let's say, of about $1 billion or so, who can set up micro Bosch. Bosch, for example, has already got one in India. So if you set up a GCC in India, that GCC can tie up with a few universities, and that university can have an apprenticeship program with a particular state. So use the companies that are setting up GCCs in India to tie up with universities and draw people from good universities there and get good talent from there. When you have a good brand like Bosch, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Porsche, etc., setting up a GCC there, you will draw great talent to those brands. So what you will, by an automatic filter, is that you'll end up getting good talent out of India also. So it's not just the numbers that come in. And this second point is that, India and when you're looking for a job, you want to land up in a country where there is little or no intimidation of any type. For example, if you go to Afghanistan, it's difficult today, or somewhere else. Germany and India have always had there's a good vibe about it. That we must build on. That energy that's created out of the relationship should transform itself into more things. I think a little push, events like this, definitely give that narrative a greater sense of momentum. And, it'll serve both of us if you're able to draw out more people than what you're doing right now out of India into jobs. I think the migration per annum is about 11,000 right now. It can perhaps reach 100,000 people because we have 18 million people living outside India as migrants.
I think Johannes wanted to make a quick point about something.
Yeah, maybe just to add, because I think it sounds so easy. We have all clear that India has all these skills and Germany needs all these people to fill the jobs. But I think what we may be missing is that Germany is not the only country who's in need of all these jobs. I think India will be the only country in the future who has really a skills surplus. And in Germany, we have to be aware that we actually compete for these skills and brains. And we have to really think about how do we create an ecosystem or like a country and a society that is open to make people feel at home and feel open to come here. And I hope that the more the Indian diaspora grows and the more ecosystems we all provide, that the easier and better this actually gets to really, next to that we have great engineering jobs, and I hope we will also have them in the future, but we need to think about how to also develop our own society into a more open society in bringing all these people into our daily lives. And if we manage to do this, then Germany will also benefit a lot, I think, here from our more open mindset, hopefully.
I have a question for both the German panelists. It's clear what you said. It's becoming a more open society. The hotel we are staying in, the people at the front desk are from Afghanistan. The housekeeping in charge is a person from Nepal. So, clearly there are people coming in, not just from India. But, we've just had an election in America where we have a new president-elect who is talking about cutting off immigration. Europe is having a debate on immigration. How big a problem do you think that is, when it comes to the local society?
The problem, what exactly? The problem that sort of what's happening in the States?
Or in Europe also.
At the moment, I would say we see rather that Europe is in a very positive situation because of the things that happen in the US, but also like the UK are becoming less open when it comes, for example, to students or immigration. So I think the other European countries, especially Germany, can benefit a lot. Of course, we also have discussions here because like everywhere in the world, in Germany, we have 85% of people living in rural, in cities, in urban areas, exactly. And the same problem with accommodation, like everywhere we have the same issues and how we deal with sort of people coming from abroad. But I think the better we really stress the success stories and what kind of stories the people bring with them, I think the more we make it a really open, or like a stand for our society to to benefit from it. And I think then there is a lot of openness, especially when it comes to skilled labor. I mean, this is a very different story that I think we have about, I don't know, asylum seeker or not legal immigration.
Yeah, I mean, we are talking about skilled migration. So the people are coming here basically for work. And in my opinion, work is the best place to integrate because you get to know your colleagues, you get to know your co-workers. In my opinion, this is there's a really positive opinion on that. And therefore, like Jonas said, it's a really great opportunity for Europe to catch the people and integrate them here into the society and really show.
You know, this is the Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement is between India and Germany. It's almost 2 years now. But specifically your state, Baden-Württemberg, what are you doing to enhance the experience for migrant job seekers, for, say, from a country like India in your state?
Thank you for your question. Baden-Württemberg is implementing a whole range of initiatives just to ensure that skilled workers from abroad, especially from India, and so we have learned a lot from our past experiences, and we are always trying to become better, just to get the process smoother and more effective. The welcome centers, they are, let me say it like that, they are support you wish. We call it the State Center for the Immigration of Skilled Workers. What does it mean? It means the center is designed to optimize and streamline the immigration process for skilled workers, make it smoother, faster, more effective, as I mentioned. And me personally, as play a central role in this whole process. I do a lot of conversations with stakeholders like not only our ministries, but also the federal ministry, the Federal Employment Agency, the chambers of commerce, just to get to know each other and to know what are the problems. For me personally, it's very important that our cooperation with Maharashtra and India is sustainable. It's really very important. It must be sustainable. So after all, we just heard it, it's all about people. It's all about their personal stories. So that's why I meet not only very regular with politicians, Indian politicians or government representatives. I also meet Indian entrepreneurs and even workers from the health sector. So I met the nurses from Kerala just to know what was your journey to Baden-Württemberg. So, and I always asked what did well and where do we have to improve ourselves, because the personal exchange helps us, helps me to understand where are the problems and helps us to get better. So to put it in 2 sentences, our aim is move to Baden-Württemberg for life and stay in Baden-Württemberg for life. That's our mission.
That's pretty ambitious plan. I think we're running short on time. I'm probably going to ask all the other 4 panelists to kind of sum up. But if I could ask the Indian panelists, you know, so far, very rosy picture. Do some crystal ball gazing. Do you see any pitfalls? Pankaj, maybe?
Can India spend enough money in publicizing this partnership is my worry. There are not enough people who knows about it. That's one challenge that I see as we progress. And as Ajit mentioned, I want to give a number of GCC. The Global Capability Centers or GDCs in India are 45% other than their home country. So we are the largest already there. So we will get stuff there. And lastly, as Khalil Gibran said, children are through you, not from you. So if they are through us, let's give them the best opportunity that exists here, probably allocate some fund. I'm requesting Indian government and German both to publicize this policy. That's what I will say.
Walk the talk. Yeah.
So I think there are a couple of issues that both sides should look at. First is that out of 18 million people who live outside India, Germany does not now come into the top 5, so to say. So we have to do something about changing that perception about why Germany is a great place to live in, to work in and to find employment here. The second thing is, I think there is a changing model of immigration developing. That is, you don't go and stay all your life in one country. You go to, let's say, the Middle East, go spend 30 years, 25 years of your work life, earn enough money, come back and live in India. And the same thing is also visible with nurses from Manila. There are about, I think, 10 million nurses out of Manila. Almost, it's the single largest M4 component of their economy, of repatriation of earnings from nurses who work outside. And those nurses go work outside and then come back and live again in Manila and rejoin families. So we have to combine both of these things. How do we get more branding to get people here? And how do we create a structure where people can come live here for some time, earn some, and then go back if necessary?
Johannes and Mark, some final thoughts?
On the general question?
I mean, you're summing up, what do you...
Yeah, really, we have to look that we create not a win-win situation, but a triple win. So the employers have to profit of it. The social security system should profit out of it in Germany, but also the employee who comes to Germany has to profit out of it. So we have to strive towards improving their lives as well as profiting from each other. So I see it as a win for everything.
Maybe some last thoughts?
Some last thoughts. Yeah, I think it will be a joint effort, and I think it's exactly what we represent here. It should be effort between companies, the government, between India and Germany. And I mean, we believe in the value of international exchange in Fintiba, definitely, and I would say let's exchange to grow, and I think grow can be then in Germany or also back in India. It will benefit all of us.
And use TV9 network to publicize.
On that note, a very good note to end on. Thank you, wonderful panel, great thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to request all the panelists to please stay on stage. Please stay on stage. Ajit, all of you, please stay on stage. Requesting Mr. Reuven Kasper and Mr. R.K. Goel.
Mr. Kasper and Mr.
R.K. Goel, please requesting you to take the stage.
Please. Mr. Goel, please. We also have the Indian.
Yeah, Indian shawl again. You can take from teleprompter.
Reza, can we please invite you on stage as well for a group photo? Reza, please. All right, let's put our hands together for our speakers and for our moderator. Thank you very much for this session.
All right, then let's move on. We have a very, very packed schedule for the day. Don't we, Padmaja? So we can't afford to waste any time. So requesting all of you to please settle down for the next session. We are, after all, in Stuttgart in Germany. How can we not talk about that one name which is the most loved luxury car name in India? In fact, we have a very loyal customer of that name here amongst us, Mr. Barun Das. Of course, we're talking about Mercedes. Stuttgart is the home of Mercedes-Benz. And of course, Hemant Sharma ji is well a loyal customer of Mercedes with us as well. So, we have to talk about Mercedes.
Absolutely, and with us is Mr. Santosh Iyer for Coach Speak on how they drive a billion aspirations. Take a look first.
A billion dreams accelerating forward. A nation powered by ambition and aspiration. India, driving the global consumption story. Santosh Iyer leads the way, setting new standards. Join him as he explores India's billion aspirations, the coach speak.
Well, all of us know what that logo means. I think in India we have seen those logos being put on all brands of cars. And my favorite was when I saw it even on a scooter. All yours. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Santosh Iyer, the stage is yours, sir. Yes, please.
Yeah, check. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished, bureaucrats, if they are in the room. Otherwise, the policymakers, also eminent business personalities, my colleagues, some of you here, and also, I would say, from my colleagues from the headquarters who are also joining me in some time. It's an honor for me to speak at this TV9 Global Summit. Thank you, Barun Das. I think, the entire TV9 team for putting together such a great, fantastic show. Yesterday evening was quite emotional for me. Been coming to Stuttgart for 15 years. As a proud Indian, the topic is now being given to me is about driving a billion aspirations. I think the timing cannot be right, better than current one. And if I look at this, our presidency at the G20 last year clearly underlined our aspirations and showcased India's commitments to foster inclusive growth and sustainable development. By championing multilateralism and we as a country, India aligns as a global citizens for the global progress. And today I will like to highlight some of this here. To start with, TV9 doing such as hosting a summit, outside of India, in Stuttgart by an Indian media organization is actually remarkable, because I think this has never been done. At least I have been in India 25 years in the automotive industry, 15 odd years now handling media. I have never seen such a great initiative. So kudos to the TV9 entire organizational team. A lot of commitment here. At the same time, please. At the same time, India is a land of superlatives. Yesterday evening, I had, we had politicians, we had also a lot of discussions around how India is growing, the GDP share. But I have been in this company now for 15 years, and back home in Stuttgart, the discussion always is, when will India have the biggest growth story coming in? And there is a famous economist who said that India has disappointed both the pessimist as well as the optimist over a period of time. But today, I think I will maybe share a couple of examples, and starting from the luxury car market. Yesterday, Mr. Scindia said that, we have something called strategic patience. 30 years in India, we were doing 2,000 cars. Today, we do 20,000 cars. But it's half glass full, half glass empty, because when I look at some other markets, they may even do 200,000, 500,000 cars. So when will that trigger happen? And also, being world's 5th largest economy, we don't see Indian brands outside, be it banks, contractors, consulting firms, accounting firms. They are still not originating out of India. So that's one way to look at it. But on the other way to look at it, India is I would say, the 3rd largest automotive market in the world. We have more than 4.5 million passenger car vehicles being produced and sold in India. I think that's quite remarkable. A lot of ultra-rich HNIs also reside. You can see a consumption boom happening in India. So a lot of things have changed the corner. I won't go into the infrastructure growth happening. A lot has been said, a lot is known here. But when I look at the data, Germany has 13,000 kilometers of autobahn. India is building 5 times that in 5 years. That's the kind of pace of infrastructure development that's happening. And we as Mercedes-Benz, we are seeing this. With this change in development, we also see change in aspirations. The per capita income now going up to $3,000. We have clearly seen a lot of aspiration. And I think the 3-pointed star really represents I would say, a dream of many Indian to get into this car at some point of time. And what we can see today is on one side, the per car penetration today in India is around 40 per 1,000 people. This you compare with Germany, it's around 600. So one can argue that there is a very long runway and a billion people dreaming they should get into cars. But when you look at public policy, clearly India also has its own set of challenges. We are a growing country, and it's very clear that public transport should be one of the biggest, I would say, lever to ensure that more people get sustainable modes of transport. And then, of course, driving luxury cars, or even a car itself is a luxury to a large segment of society today. But this is where that's a pivot that we see, that the billion dreams in India will drive that pivot going forward. In my view, there are 4 mantras, apart from many things that has been said till now, for the billion dreams and aspirations to grow. Number 1 is manufacturing, for sure, because let me give another statistics. For every truck or bus manufactured and sold, you create 14 jobs. For every car that is made, again, you create close to 12 to 13 jobs in India. So if you see 4 million cars being sold today, you just imagine the number of job creation that's happening. And if India has to grow at the 6% growth, surely automotive industry alone can help in getting employment, getting jobs. So that's one part, but this cannot be on the traditional setup, because the labor cost arbitrage is a thing of the past. Many countries will take up. The core mantra for success would be to combine digitalization in manufacturing. A lot of work happening on digital twins, on trying to make it faster, better, and I think in terms of quality as well. So I think that's something that we need to, again, pivot on. The second thing, which is very much linked to manufacturing, is also about, so the Make in India is great, but it's time now we make in India for the world. And here, from the automotive industry standpoint, it's very clear that yes, there are aspirations. A lot of people ask us, are you going to export? At this stage, the answer is no, because one thing that you need to do this is also a free trade, because this is something that we have been, as a multinational company, always been advocating. Borders need to be open to facilitate free trade. We are also now in India formed a lot of associations. Stefan Alusa is here from AHACA. We have been discussing this during the recent APK as well. And I think this, our job is also to educate Indian industries to ensure that they don't feel the threat of a free trade, because free trade means both the economies grow. We need to have a win-win equation when it comes to these FTAs. Third, of course, I think the last panel was great and enlightening, so I won't delve into empowering the youth also in terms of getting skill development. But I think the biggest, again, opportunity for India is increasing gender diversity in workforce. Today, with a very low participation of the women workforce, we are not capitalizing the huge potential that lies in India. And the demographic dividend, because most of us are lying on simple mathematics saying that, India is having a 1.4 billion, growing at an X rate. This young population, they will start consuming. But for them to consume, they need to have the money in the pocket. The per capita GDP needs to go up. And for that, inclusion of the women workforce will mean that the household income, because today an Indian household is dependent on one income household, and that something which pulls development, growth, consumption down. But inclusion of diversity, inclusion of women more in the workforce will lead to this faster acceleration. Last not the least, which is a bit very close to my heart, you have clearly a strategy from India about green transition. I think the statistics that was mentioned yesterday by Honorable Minister Ashwini Vaishnavji, that India today, 45% of the energy today in India is from renewable, non-fossil fuel based resources. It's staggering, and this comes into for the future, we are discussing about from being a net importer of energy to a net exporter of green energy. This something will change the balance of trade because manufacturing goods and services is one end of the spectrum, but I think energy export coming out of all the initiatives will change the game. But on the other side, now coming back to the automotive industry, we need to also transition to electrification much more rapidly. Use this on one side, the electrification agenda of the government to shift into green energy. On the other side, transform with electric cars. I think the government has a lot of policy initiatives there. India leads in carbon neutrality, leads in decarbonizing the sector. We cannot grow as a country and fulfill the billion aspirations by putting more cars on road or more vehicles on road without decarbonizing. So decarbonizing need for India, again, this comes that if there is an X country at an X rate of electrification, should India also go in that same trajectory or even more? And the answer, in my opinion, is we need to do much more than any other country in the world to electrify so that we decarbonize the sector as we grow. Else, we have different set of challenges in public health as well as in other policies. So to conclude, I would say much has been done, a lot has been done, I would say, and adapted to drive the billion aspirations. I am a firm believer that execution is the only strategy customer or the market or the consumer sees. So can the policymakers, can the business houses all execute? I think media plays a big role in questioning this, in trying to push this, and I would love that to continue. And before I end, I grew up in India which had and I will translate to English as well, but there's a very famous song. It said, "Hum honge kamyab ek din, ek din, ek din," with lot of dots there. And I grew up, it means in English, we will become successful one day, one day, one day, dot, dot, dot. But it's time we become successful today and not tomorrow. And that mindset we saw in the policymakers yesterday, in the bureaucrats, in organizations like TV9, which are really pushing the agenda very strongly, getting the cultures together. This is just not a business delegation. This is how the aspirations of 1 billion people in India will be aspired. We all, I think Germany and India has a very great connect. As I said, personally been here for 15 years, coming here almost once a quarter, a lot of association with a lot of friends here. I can't be more proud. Thank you once again, TV9, and for sharing my thoughts on driving aspirations for billions back in India. All the best and have a nice day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iyer, for that. Please requesting to stay on stage.
And can we please request Mr. Florian Stegman, Mr. Ruben Kasper, and Mr. Barun Das on stage to please felicitate our guest. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And up next is another coach speak. We're talking about Dr. Ajay Mathur, Director General, International Solar Alliance, who has now arrived in Stuttgart all the way from Baku, where he was attending the COP29 meet. Let's hear from him all that went right and wrong at COP29, where the contentious net collective quantified goals around climate financing were discussed. Let's hear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. First of all, I apologize for being late in being with you, but this was an opportunity I had to fully accomplish. I'm delighted to be here, and believe you me, the sunlight makes it completely worth it. I spent 5 cloudy days in Baku, and coming back into the sunlight makes it seem that solar is actually here. Well, this is the home of solar. This is where solar started. Even today, Germany manufactures something like 26 gigawatts of the starting block of solar. You know, the solar chain has these things called solar, well, first of all, you make polysilicon, then you make the solar, the ingots out of it, and from the ingots you make solar cells, and from solar cells you make the solar modules that you and I use. That's the supply chain. Germany makes 26 gigawatts of solar ingots. The starting point. Most of Europe uses German ingots. A few months ago, when I was looking at getting machinery for India, for making solar ingots, we found that the cheapest, well, in terms of the value for money, the best machinery was coming from China. Now, this is something we need to change, and I think that together we can change it. It's not as if we don't have history about it. You look at 20 years ago, when the wind revolution was taking off, the wind machines were being designed in Germany and being manufactured in India, and they were being exported to the rest of the world. I believe it is a model that makes sense. The manpower here, together with the manpower that comes from India, can provide the kind of cutting-edge information that is needed, the cutting-edge knowledge and information that is needed to design cutting-edge technology. Manufacturing is much cheaper in India, but together we can conquer the world. And it is with that thought that I looked at the solar picture. When I look at the solar picture, I see that the huge advantage that this country had, I mean, Germany paid as much as 50 euro cents for a kilowatt hour of electricity from solar. Germany is the reason why the world has solar today at not 50 US cents, not 50 euro cents, at 2 US cents, 1.5 US cents. This is the power of scale. I believe that the power of scale is amazingly useful as we move ahead. We therefore, in our own thinking, we tend to divide the world into 4 parts. The first is countries like Germany, where in a sense the energy consumption is more or less constant. Yes, it is increasing because of electrification of the transport sector, something that Santosh talked about. It is increasing because of the electricity being used for the manufacture of green hydrogen, but more or less it's constant per capita. What this means is that in Germany you've been able to use solar energy during the day. And the German solar energy during the day is, well, cheaper than anything else, but it's only available during the day. So at night, the vast amount of electricity, something like 10 gigawatts of electricity, comes from lignite and gas, because solar is not available. What it means is that the ability to use existing capacity, lignite and gas, is there. When I look at India, I see the generators and distribution companies coming to me and saying, listen, we'll gladly put up solar during the day. But what happens at night? Because there the demand is increasing. The demand is increasing at the day and at night. So solar provides during the day. What do we do at night? Do I set up a coal power station to meet the need during the night? That doesn't make sense. In other words, for these countries, these large developing countries where huge amount of growth is occurring, we need to focus on batteries. Because batteries allows us to store the solar electricity that is produced during the day and use it at night. Then you have the smaller developing countries. In the smaller developing countries, the biggest problem is that everybody does not have access to electricity. There, it is important that we start looking at options. And there is no cheaper option than looking at a solar mini-grid, which is solar plus batteries. Solar plus batteries provide electricity to people who have never had it at a price that is cheaper than extending the grid. If you have to extend the grid by more than 10 to 15 kilometers, solar plus batteries is cheaper. This is what we need to focus on as far as the smaller developing countries are concerned. And then you have the small island states. I went to Fiji, and in going from the big island to the small island, how do you go? You go by boat. What does the boat run on? Diesel. Where are the electric boats? Where are the solar boats? They aren't there. Because neither Germany nor India has invested in creating a high-speed boat that can take 100 passengers from one island to the other. In other words, we need to look at these countries and develop the products that they need. They are a very special market. They are not large enough to make it by themselves. But we can certainly enable that transition. The point that I want to leave with you is that coming out of Baku, these 4 archetypes of countries were very, very clear. It is very clear that there are the developed countries, the large developing countries, the smaller developing countries, and the small island states. And in almost everything, whether it is the solar philosophy that we talk about, or whether it is their own strategies for the energy transition that we are talking about, they are very different. We are right now faced with a number of challenges. We are looking at moving the carbon emission reductions that occur in the developing countries to the developed countries, to the so-called offsets. I would argue that instead of having a general approach of developed and developing, we need to move into these 4 categories and move the kinds of activities which make sense, which move the needle as far as the energy transition is concerned, into the global picture. We also talked about the fact that there will be a need for a resource transfer, financial transfer from the developed countries to the developing countries. What I think is very clear is that as far as investments are concerned, you don't need any government money. Financial money, your pension money and my pension money is good enough because we get a return on that. We get a return on the electricity that is sold. Yes, there may be perceived problems as far as payments are concerned. There may be perceived problems as far as the success of the technology is concerned. For perceived problems, if you have to spend public sector money, let's spend it on guarantees so that we can pull private sector investment money into the green sector. I request you to think of seeing how we can create these guarantees. At the International Solar Alliance, we are creating a guarantee to help provide payment guarantee mechanisms for all international investors who invest in the decentralized solar in Africa. Why decentralized solar? Because ultimately solar has to hit you and I. Remember, you and I. Where does this, is the solar on the rooftop? Is the solar pump on the farm? Is the solar mini grid? That's where you and I see solar. That will make a change in our lives. My short point that I want to leave you with is that change is possible. We looked at a number of solar startups across the world. We identified 20 in Africa. There were 180 who applied in Africa, 20 were selected. We looked at startups in the Asia-Pacific region, 30 in the Asia-Pacific region, including 10 in India. And we are now looking at identifying 20 startups in the Latin America region. Believe you me, the kinds of new applications that they talk about are just out of the world. There was a guy in India who had developed a robotic arm to clean solar panels. Solar panels become dusty in the Indian environment. And a robotic panel helps clean those solar panels. Amazing. In Africa, there was a fellow who was making and selling carts for cold food or hot food using solar technology. I was completely blown by both the range of products that these guys had developed, as well as the fact that you and I were willing to pay to get those products. I believe that we can make a difference. We can make a difference by going ahead and enabling investments to flow on the one hand and enabling these entrepreneurs to develop on the other hand. I thank you for your attention.
Stay on stage, sir. Please stay on stage. We have to do your felicitation. Requesting Ruben Kasper and Mr. Harshul Asnani. Please take the stage. Can we have Mr. Harshul Asnani? Okay, requesting Hemant Sharma ji to please take the stage.
Dr. Mathur, you hold the future of our planet in your hands. We can't let you get away so easy. We have to ensure we're in safe hands.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Hemant Sharma ji, for taking the stage. All right, it's time for some more pitch side coaching, Padmaja. So, time now to invite the Director of Sarloha Advanced Materials Private Limited and Managing Director, Kalyani Steels, Mr. R.K. Goyal, to share his winning playbook on the green goalkeeper. But first, take a look at this.
In a world striving for green, one industry stands as a guardian of change. Revolutionary materials, redefined for the planet. R.K. Goyal leading the green materials movement. A defender of the planet's future. Join him as he shares a vision for a sustainable tomorrow. The Coach Speak.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I like to thank TV9 for presenting here a wonderful fusion of politics, industry, sustainability, media, and it's a place where you can find almost everything. I've made presentations in several conferences. The focus was only on the topics or the conference topics. But I'm amazed to see that we are going to see football. We are in a football stadium. We have media. We have best of the politicians from India, best of the speeches about the country's growth plans, and a huge relationship development, uplift in relationship between India and Germany. Thank you once again. Let me now make my presentation. Now, from the human-induced warming reached approximately 1 degree centigrade above pre-industrial level till 2017. And it is expected to go to 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2040. You have already seen the way environment is behaving, the way glaciers are melting, so on and so forth. And if we all collectively do not do something substantial, then we are in for a much, much larger problem. By 2040, we will already be at 1.5 degrees centigrade, and while the global targets are 1.5 degrees centigrade by end of this century. So something substantial is required to be done, and in COP, all of us have made various commitments and need to follow that. It is not only for the nations who have committed about it, it is about all individuals, all individual companies who have to make commitment and who have to do their bit so that in totality we are able to achieve these goals. Now when we come to India, last year we produced around 141 million ton of steel and we generated around 358 million ton of CO2. Like typically in India, we are generating 2.5 ton of CO2 per ton of crude steel production, while global average is around 1.91. Global average is 7% of total CO2 emissions in the country are from steel sector, while in India it is 12%. So we need to do much more, and we find there is a huge potential to do much larger things in India as we are blessed with so many positives. Now, if we do not do anything, we leave the situation as it is. As a country, we are planning to create capacity of around 300 million ton by 2030, and the production may be around 255 million ton. And if nothing much is done, then we are going to double our emissions by 2030. So, if we need to do, we need to act, and we need to do something substantial. Now, this is basically a flow diagram of an integrated steel plant where the first portion, which is in a box, is basically iron making, where you produce by blast furnace route with coke oven, sinter plant, pellet plant, hot metal. And this is subsequently converted into steel by BOF, EOF or electric arc furnace, and then subsequently refined and rolled to produce steel. In the first portion, almost 70% of emissions are there, and in the rest it is 30%. So what we did, that we first attacked the 30%, which we believe is a low-hanging fruit. What we did, we converted all our energy, what we are using in our plant in Pune. We have two steel plants, one in Pune, which is based on electric arc furnace. Other plant is an integrated steel plant in Hospet, Karnataka, which is an iron ore bowl. So energy. We eliminated 100% of fossil fuels which we are using in our plant and converted them to either RE-based operations or biofuel. And in the process, we could reduce our carbon footprint substantially. Like to begin with, it came down to around 190 kg in scope 1 and 2 per ton of crude steel. But even by subsequent improvements, it has come to just 105 kgs. And we are in the process of developing it further, and maybe in another few months, we will present you results which I don't think anybody is thinking in the world. Now, typically in an integrated steel plant, there are four parts. One is production of renewable energy. Second is green hydrogen production. Third is DRI, using green hydrogen as reductant instead of coke. And fourth is converting into steel, EF, SF or induction furnace. Now, renewable energy technology, equipments, this part is exceptionally well developed in the country. Like we had set up some 82 megawatt of solar and wind energy plants, which has helped us in taking care of our 100% of RE energy plant. The second part is green hydrogen production. Now, lot of work is going on in this. At certain level, this is already getting produced, Mr. Tripathi has mentioned in the morning, lot of production of hydrogen will start happening in the country and has already started. But a million ton of steel plant typically requires almost 65,000 tons of hydrogen. And hydrogen is very difficult to transport. So one possibility is you have hydrogen production manufacturing along with the steel manufacturing facility, and RE power plant, you have to bring RE power to produce RE power based hydrogen, or you produce hydrogen somewhere else, convert it into ammonia, bring ammonia to your plant, and again dissociate ammonia into hydrogen and nitrogen, which makes it further expensive. So this need to be really worked in a manner that it becomes cost competitive and you are able to produce at the steel plant site. Third part is DRI making. Now basically with natural gas, DRI manufacturing process is very, very well established. It is there in India since more than 27, 28 years. But in India, we have an issue related to first, availability of the gas, number two, availability of gas at competitive price. But this may not be the situation in many other countries, so this can be done. And the technology, this itself can reduce CO2 footprint by almost up to 40-45%. And this process itself need to be tried to use 100% of hydrogen. There is already a plant running in Sweden. It's a pilot plant operating at 1 ton per hour production, and it is doing well. But then at a large commercial scale, a lot of work is going on, but one need to really produce. And once this DRI is produced, then this DRI can definitely be melted in EF or SF and the green steel is produced. Eventually, some such process need to be really developed where from iron ore you can produce green steel. Now, let me talk about green steel at Sarloa. Now, a brief overview of Kalyani Group. We have a group sales turnover of around $4 billion. We have manufacturing footprint at 23 locations and quite a few in Europe also. We have market cap of greater than 14 billion and a workforce of more than 12,000 people. We are manufacturing steel for various critical applications which requires steel which is highly clean and with very high level of properties including fatigue strength. We are producing for aerospace, outer space, defense, nuclear, oil and gas, submarine, railways, wind power, automotive. Many of these sectors are new age, which are really helping us in supplying steel to them, to remain in high value added steels, and at the same time, these are the sectors which are looking for green steel, of course, beside automotive. On that, automotive is basically our largest sector. Now, we manufacture steel through electric arc furnace route. We have a capacity to produce 204,000 tons. And this 100% of capacity, we are able to produce green steel. We have started producing since last more than 2 years. And yesterday, Mr. Scindia was there. Subsequently, I will show you a photograph. He was the person, when he was steel minister, who graced our occasion while launching the green steel. Now, as far as our manufacturing facilities are concerned, we are melting in electric arc furnace, which is 100% powered by RE. Then we have secondary refining in ladle furnace. We have vacuum decasing, VOD, casting. We have the best and the largest caster in the country. We do ingot casting up to 70 ton, and we have secondary refining processes like slag refining and vacuum arc remelting. We have several rolling mills, heat treatment, finishing, and almost all the testing facilities which are required. Now, these are some of the grades which we produce for various sectors, and a good portion of our steel is coming to Europe in the form of components, and as well as to US. Now, when we talk of green steel, we talk about scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. As I mentioned before, scope 2 we made zero basically by uses of green energy or renewable power. Scope 1, we changed our raw material mix and we are largely using scrap. We are taking back scrap from all our customers. We are also, like you may be surprised, we sell components, steel to countries like US, and at the end of life of the component, that component comes back to us in India for remelting. Now this circular economy, which we have adopted very heavily in our plant, is really helping us. So in a way we are basically conversion agents. And it is highly sustainable because the same material keeps moving rather than bringing fresh material. Now, as I mentioned before, fuel mix today is basically biofuel, or all our furnaces and all are running, which were running earlier on furnace oil or PNG, are today running on electricity or biofuel. Now this is the photograph of our launching ceremony. Mr. Scindia, you can see yesterday he had made a speech and the complete steel ministry people are there. We have created two brands. One is Kalyani Ferresta, where it's a low CO2 steel, where we were committing 190 kg when we started 2 years back of CO2 per ton of crude steel and 0.35 tons of CO2 per ton in the rolled product. And by utilization of 100% of renewable energy. And we also have a grade Kalyani Ferresta Plus, where whatever is the residual CO2 that is offset by purchase of equivalent carbon credits to achieve carbon neutral products. But this is all scope 1 and scope 2. We did not stop here. Now, many of our customers in Europe has started asking for scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3 in totality. And we are already started supplying crude steel with less than 400 kg of CO2 and various grades of steel which has alloying elements also, like for example bearing, with only 510 kg of CO2. These are among the best figures in the world. We already have now a tie-up supply arrangement with some German companies, and we are already supplying green steel to companies in Europe. Now, when we thought of producing green steel, we thought maybe people will not believe us or trust us that we can produce this, we can produce with such low CO2 footprint. So we hired the best inspection and certification agency, DNV, based in out of Netherlands, and they are the people who are certifying every heat of our production of green steel. Now, you may be a little surprised. The German government delegation led by Mr. Stefan Wengel, Parliamentary State Secretary, Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action, Germany, on 26 July 2023. He visited us with his complete team, and I don't have words to explain the way he appreciated our this initiative, and he really said that this is the thing we would like to do in Germany as soon as possible and how we can cooperate. And TV9, without knowing this, has already started some level of cooperation, some level of integration between the two countries. This is our supply agreement, photograph of supply agreement with ZF. We are the only supplier to them, and they want to be assured of a large supply of green steel from our plant. They did very extensive verification and compared us with the rest of the world for production of green steel before signing this MOU. Thank you very much, and it will be a pleasure for us to work with German companies for development of green steel, or supply of green steel as well as components made of green steel. In fact, this is one offering to all our customers, that if you are planning to buy, you did not buy subsequently, you are planning to buy steel from us, green steel, then we can support you in producing green components. So whatever is the technology, whatever is the support required, there is no charge for that, and we will support you for doing the same. Thank you very much. Thank you, TV9, once again.
Requesting Mr. Goyal to please stay on stage, requesting Barun Das and Roman Casper to please take the stage to felicitate Mr. Goyal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goyal, for being our goalkeeper today and helping us understand how to defend against the challenges in sustainable steel production.
That's right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for the State Showcase here at the News9 Global Summit, beginning with a state that's very close to my heart, the state of Karnataka. Padmaja, ninge Kannada gotta?
Selpa.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So I basically asked her in the language of Kannada from the state of Karnataka, do you speak Kannada? And she said, little. That's the beauty of India, isn't it? So many wonderful languages, ancient languages all coming together. And Karnataka is a very important state in this country. In India,
100%, and it's known across the world for its technological prowess, thanks to Bengaluru, known as India's Silicon Valley. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Siddaramaiah, Chief Minister of the Indian state of Karnataka.
Karnataka and Germany continue to enjoy a strong relationship, especially in areas of trade and FDI. 1,600 plus German companies are operating in India, employing 3 lakh persons. Over 600 German joint ventures are represented in the Indian marketplace. I am also pleased to note that Karnataka is home to nearly 200 German companies like Bosch, Siemens, Carl Zeiss, to name a few. The German state of Bavaria is a sister state to Karnataka. Karnataka is a preferred investment destination since it offers a conducive business environment and several advantages that can help German companies expand their operations in India. The state has a large pool of skilled and educated workforce, particularly in sectors like IT, engineering and manufacturing, which are of interest to many German companies. Karnataka has a well-developed infrastructure, including modern airports, seaports and industrial parks, providing efficient connectivity and logistics support. The state government offers attractive incentives and single-window clearance systems to facilitate foreign investments, reducing bureaucratic hurdles. Bengaluru, the state capital, is a global hub for technology and innovation, hosting 400 plus R&D centers. German companies can leverage this vibrant ecosystem to drive innovation, collaborate with local partners and tap into the growing Indian market. By capitalizing on Karnataka's strengths, such as its investor-friendly policies, world-class infrastructure and skilled workforce, German companies can successfully expand their operations in India and tap into the country's vast market potential. We also continue to emphasize that we are a policy-driven state and hence deliver continuity in our promises to investors. We would like to partner with German companies and lead the path of sustainable growth and development together. We are also happy to note that Germany was an esteemed country partner for the state's flagship Global Investors Meet. Invest Karnataka 2022, the state would be keen to have Germany once again as a country partner for Invest Karnataka 2025, which is set to happen from 11th February, 14th February 2025. Heartfelt appreciation to News9 and TV9 network for organizing the leaders of Global Bharat Global Summit from November 21 to 23, 2024. This summit stands as a testament to India's role as a global leader and an incubator of transformative ideas. Such platforms are invaluable for fostering collaboration, driving innovation, and inspiring solutions that align with the aspirations of a progressive, inclusive India. I extend my best wishes to all participants and look forward to the enriching discussions that will emerge from this remarkable gathering.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Chief Minister of the Southern Indian state of Karnataka, Siddaramaiah. We have another state showcase now.
And we're talking about information and technology in Karnataka, but the state we are going to talk about next is the one that epitomizes dhando, which is business in India. Everyone in Gujarat is always thinking and talking about what to do next, how to get more business, from Surat, which is home to the diamond industry, to of course some of the biggest entrepreneurs, the biggest business names in India come from this state as well. No guesses, we're talking about Gujarat.
Suche, Saruche,
Majama.
Majama. That's again from the Gujarati language, another beautiful language. We have the Chief Minister of Gujarat delivering the next showcase, ladies and gentlemen. Let's listen to it.
India-Germany, a roadmap to sustainable growth की थीम के साथ आयोजित न्यूज़ 9 ग्लोबल समिट में उपस्थित सभी महानुभावों का मेरा नमस्कार। वैश्विक नेता और भारत के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में विश्व में भारत सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास और सबके प्रयास के मंत्र के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है। जर्मनी में आयोजित यह समिट भी इसका एक उत्तम उदाहरण है। प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी ने गुजरात को ट्रेड, कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्रीज के ग्लोबल मंच पर लीडर बनाने के ध्येय से 2003 से वाइब्रेंट गुजरात ग्लोबल समिट शुरू की। इस वाइब्रेंट समिट के फलस्वरूप गुजरात आज ग्लोबल डेस्टिनेशन फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड एफडीआई में अग्रिम राज्य है। फॉर्च्यून 500 में से 100 कंपनियां गुजरात में कार्यरत है। प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में आज विश्व के कई देशों की तरह जर्मन भी गुजरात के साथ अनेक क्षेत्रों में जुड़ा हुआ है। अहमदाबाद में इंडो जर्मन टूल रूम स्किल डेवलपमेंट और टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर के लिए दोनों देशों के संकलन का बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल है। जर्मनी की 10 प्रतिष्ठित कंपनीज गुजरात में कार्यरत हैं। इसके अलावा गिफ्ट सिटी में डॉइश बैंक भी कार्यरत है। भारत जर्मनी के संबंधों को और मजबूत करने में गुजरात एक सक्रिय भूमिका निभा रहा है। गुजरात आज भविष्य की टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए फ्यूचर रेडी हो रहा है। सेमीकंडक्टर, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन, ग्रीन एमोनिया जैसे सेक्टर्स के लिए गुजरात एक बड़े प्लेटफॉर्म के रूप में उभर रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में संपन्न हुई 10वीं वाइब्रेंट ग्लोबल समिट में भी ग्रीन एनर्जी और सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ पर विशेष फोकस किया गया था। जर्मनी भी इस वाइब्रेंट समिट में पार्टनर कंट्री के तौर पर जुड़ा था और सस्टेनेबल ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन इंडो जर्मन पर्सपेक्टिव विषय पर सेमिनार भी आयोजित किया गया था। जर्मनी और गुजरात के बीच इस मजबूत संबंध सेतु को न्यूज़ 9 ग्लोबल समिट का आयोजन और भी मजबूत बनाएगा। इस विश्वास के साथ आप सभी को एक बार फिर बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। भारत माता की जय, वंदे मातरम, जय जय गरवी गुजरात।
Thank you very much, Mr. Chief Minister. And of course, long-standing connections between Germany and India, as we have seen over the last 24 hours.
Absolutely, and state for state, so many
Gujaratis,
yeah, and so many Gujaratis here in Germany as well. I'm afraid it is time right now for a lunch interval, but bear in mind we have a very packed schedule. We have the Minister President of Baden-Württemberg, Mr. Winfried Kretschmann, set to deliver his address. We have Prime Minister Modi's address. We are very, very crunched for time. We cannot afford to waste even a single moment, and that's the reason why I'm requesting all of you to please assemble back here at 1:40 so that we can carry on with the proceedings for the day. The Golden Ball address to the Minister President of Baden-Württemberg. All of that set to happen. Requesting all of you to take that lunch break now and be back here in the hall at 1:40, not a minute later. For now, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Catch the next Indian icons. B6E and XEV9E, Mahindra's electric origin SUVs at Unlimit India on the 26th of November at 6 p.m.
यही मौका है बिजनेस को बढ़ाने का, पर पैसा।
अपनी सुपर पावर यूज करने का टाइम आ गया है।
अब टेंशन मत लीजिए, IIFL फाइनेंस से झटपट गोल्ड लोन लीजिए और बिजनेस आगे बढ़ाइए।
आपके जैसे सुपर हीरोज ऐसी छोटी मोटी प्रॉब्लम से थोड़ी ना रुकते हैं, इसीलिए लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे तो अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए।
IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
यही मौका है बिजनेस को बढ़ाने का, पर पैसा।
अपनी सुपर पावर यूज करने का टाइम आ गया है।
अब टेंशन मत लीजिए, IIFL फाइनेंस से झटपट गोल्ड लोन लीजिए और बिजनेस आगे बढ़ाइए।
आपके जैसे सुपर हीरोज ऐसी छोटी मोटी प्रॉब्लम से थोड़ी ना रुकते हैं, इसीलिए लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे तो अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए। IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
India spends $75 billion on foreign cargo vessels.
$71 billion per annum. That's a lot of money.
Imagine a situation where 95% of our cargo is coming on ships which are not owned by us. If we are still not prepared, if someone were to say that we are not going to give you ships, then we'll be stuck. So the entire nation's economy is at risk.
We are very clear that shipping is also strategic, because without that you can't really be the third largest economy in the world.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. You're watching News9 and I'm Sriya Kundu, back here with all the latest updates and stories from across the nation and around the world. Well, we at News9 are consistently bringing you the Stuttgart News9 Global Summit that's taking place. But right now, let's quickly shift our focus to the top stories of this hour that's been developing. Let's take a look at the headlines to begin with. It's a leadership summit like no other. News9 Global Summit Day 2 in Stuttgart, Germany is underway with clear focus on sustainable development and Indo-German cooperation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be delivering the keynote address at the News9 Global Summit.